Hey, what's up, Crypto Army? I'm Travis, your crypto newbie, bringing you my experiences so you don't have to learn things the hard way. Just a reminder, I'm not a financial advisor. None of my content should be viewed as financial advice. If you like what my content offers, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and turn on notifications so you get notified about new content when I publish it. It really helps the channel grow and get the content to others that might find it helpful. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about Affinity, or SafeAffinity. I did a fundamental analysis on this, and I've also done an AMA or two covering this particular project. I think it's a pretty strong project, but I think there's some misinformation out there. Not necessarily misinformation, but I think we're talking apples and oranges. We're still talking fruit, but I don't think we're talking in the right category for some of the reflection discussion. So I just wanted to kind of provide an update on what are the considerations for your rewards or reflections or whatever we want to call them in this particular token. So let's go ahead and take a look at the rewards calculator as it relates to Affinity. So first we got to get our data. And what data do we need? Well, we're going to need the price, even though we don't actually need that to calculate the rewards, but we're going to get that information. We need to know what the max supply is, so 1 trillion tokens. We're going to need to look at the volume, and for volume we'll go ahead and look at historical data. So as you can see, it's $319,000 for November 12th, which happens to be today, even though it's showing it as yesterday. It's just the time zone that this particular system is held in. But we're going to use 319,556 for that number. Now the other thing we're going to need is how much is in the burn wallet. So we'll go ahead and click on BSC scan, and then we'll click on holders. And as we can see, here's the number for the burn address. So we will use that information for our rewards calculator. All right, so now that we've got all of our data and we've already inputted everything, now if you've never seen my rewards calculator before, the equations that you need are here and here. You can ignore the consolidation stuff because that's for SafeMoon and any other projects that are doing a consolidation. I don't think this one's going to do that. It doesn't really need to, but if it ever does, it's here. And if you want to follow along, you can find this on the banner to my page. Just click up in the somewhere on the screen there, you'll see the option for looking at the page. Usually it's the icon. If you click that, it'll navigate you to the home page essentially for my page. On the banner you'll see the rewards calculator. It'll open up in Google Drive and you can download it from there and follow along if you want, or just use it in the future. Now you don't need to request sharing access, you just need to open it up and then hit the file download, and then you'll have it on your computer and you can manipulate it to your heart's content for any project that uses rewards. Now here's the disclaimer. It's not designed for a project that does different fees for buys and sells. So this one's got an 8% buy and a 20% sell, of which 7% comes back in your distribution rate for buys and 17.5% for sells. So this isn't necessarily going to be the perfect option for doing calculations, but there's no way to see what is the volume for buys versus sells to get a more accurate picture. So you're just going to have to kind of guess, what do you think the average percentage is? And my guess is that it's going to be more buys than sells because 20% is kind of high. And that is a really strong reason to hold. Just being realistic. That is one of my concerns with this project, is 20% is pretty high. And the team has already said they've got full control to adjust that in the future if it turns out to be too high. Again, they've got a strong use case. They've got a docs team and a security audit. And they've already got utility. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. You have to make your own decision on whether to invest in this project. But one of the problems I keep seeing on videos for this particular project is I think they're scaring people away because they're talking apples and oranges, not just sticking on a specific type of fruit, and I think they're on the wrong one. Everybody's used to tokens that have quadrillion tokens. So SafeMoon, right? Or Evergrow coin. Or even say Tama that's got like 100 quadrillion tokens. So this one doesn't have that. It's got 1 trillion tokens. You are not trying to get 1 billion tokens with this particular project. And if you do, yeah, it's a lot of money. That would scare me away too. Don't worry about trying to get 1 billion tokens. Anybody want to take a guess on how much money it would take to get 1 billion tokens for a project that has 1 trillion total supply? Yeah, if you guessed $20,000, you're right. It's a ridiculous amount of money. Now, if you have $20,000 to throw at this project and you believe in it that strongly, you're going to be rolling in the money pretty quick once the volume takes off. So more power to you, but most of us can't afford to throw $20,000 at this project. More realistically, $100, because you don't need 1 billion. If it had 1 quadrillion tokens like SafeMoon, because everybody wants to get 1 billion tokens for SafeMoon, well, that's more realistic. And even now, that's kind of high for SafeMoon too. But it takes a lot of money to get 1 billion tokens, so don't try. On a 1 quadrillion token, the goal is 1 billion. On a 100 quadrillion token or higher, you're looking at trillions of tokens. So what's the equivalent to for a 1 trillion token project? Well, millions, not billions. So let's go back to 100. Does $100 seem more reasonable to get the 5 million, which if you were talking about SafeMoon is the equivalent to 5 billion? Now think about it. After their consolidation, if you've got 5 billion tokens, you're only going to have 5 million. You see how we're talking the same thing now? Now we're on the fruit of apples or oranges. We're not on a comparison of the two. It's one fruit. Still talking rewards or fruit, but we're not talking about different kinds of fruit, if that analogy makes sense. 5 million is more reasonable. So ignore all the videos that keep saying, talking about 1 billion tokens. Don't try for 1 billion. I mean, more power to you if you get $20,000. Go ahead, knock yourself out. I don't have $20,000. I wish I did. But 5 million for $100 seems more practical. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody on why the millions is what you're looking for. Now we've already got all of our data put in here. And we drop down here and say, well, wow, $41. SafeMoon's prices weren't anywhere near that. Well, yes, SafeMoon doesn't have $319,000 in volume right now. They're in the 20 million. So let's jump this up to 20 million. So does that seem a little more reasonable? $20 million in volume, you're getting about $7 per day. And now again, the disclaimer. This is just what you're getting in rewards for buys. This is the bare minimum of what you should get. Because 17.5% is the sells. But again, you're not going to have as many of those because 20% fee is kind of a lot. So why don't we just say 10%? I think that's realistic. It's not quite half, it's a little less than half. I think that's probably approachable. And I really hope the team puts away on their DApp of figuring out what is the average rate, because I think that'll help people kind of figure out what should they be expecting in terms of rewards. But at 10%, we're talking around $3,000 a year at 20 million. Well, all of the calculations we've been looking at for SafeMoon are for 1 billion in volume. Now, I don't know if 1 billion is practical for this particular project, but we'll see what it looks like. So with 1 billion in volume and a 10% average rate of return, you're looking at about $185,000 per year. So that sounds pretty nice. I have to admit, that sounds pretty nice for a $100 investment. Now maybe it's not 1 billion, maybe it's 100 million. $18,000 a year in passive income. That sounds pretty good. I don't have any idea what the possibilities are. I'd like to see this one get 1 billion, but is it going to get 1 billion by the end of this year? Probably not. Is it going to get 1 billion by the end of next year? I don't know, maybe. They got a pretty strong use case if they can get it adopted by businesses out there and people actually start using it quite a bit. That might be enough for the people to buy and sell on this token. Now let's go back to 20 million. Now with 20 million, it takes us 10 days to recoup our $100. This token only has 5,000 holders right now. Imagine if it doubles, quadruples, and we start getting some growth. Is 20 million practical? Especially since they've already got a use case and they're going to build a wallet that incorporates that use case with a whole bunch of really cool options built into that particular wallet. I think it's definitely possible. 10 days to recoup your $100. But let's say it never gets above $1 million. About a half a year and you've recouped your $100. So it seems kind of like a pretty good investment. And the other thing that this doesn't account for is ADA increases in price. So this is actually going to be a little bit lower on your timetable. So instead of 197 days, maybe it is actually 180 days. Maybe it's 170. ADA can also decrease in price. So maybe it's like 200 days. But you're still getting your $100 initial investment back in about a half a year if it never breaks $1 million. I think it's entirely possible that this project will break $1 million. As soon as they start getting some marketing and getting this stuff out to other people, I think they're going to do that. So it's a relatively low risk in terms of that. And again, the team is doxed. They got a security audit. They've got some pretty strong fundamentals. Plus, they've got a pretty good use case. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. My goal here is just to show you that you don't need billions of this token to do pretty well. You just need millions. You need to get your foot in the door and then let the volume and the holders continually increase to the point where you're doing pretty well on this project. Because in a month, you might not be able to get $5 million for the price of $100. Maybe it's $1,000. And then you'd be kind of kicking yourself because you missed the opportunity. And again, you don't necessarily need to get $5 million. Maybe the number is $3 million for you. Maybe you don't, and again, this is factoring in that's 8%. So that's roughly what you're going to get, like actually in your wallet. Because I'm putting the actual purchase fee into the calculation here. So you should get roughly $5 million for $100, assuming that the price hasn't changed by the time you watch this video. That's all I wanted to cover on this video. Hopefully you liked the content. Let me know in the comments. Was there any confusion about millions versus billions on this particular token for you before you watch this video? Until next time, stay strong with those diamond hands. Crypto Newbie here to tell you how you can get $2,340 in free stocks. All the links I use in this video are in the description. Sign up for Webull and get 2 free stocks valued up to $2,300. Your first stock is free automatically. Deposit any amount and you get your second stock. Deposit 1 penny and you get your second stock. Total value could be up to $2,300. Generally $5 per stock is what you get. Next we have block fee. Get $10 in Bitcoin just for signing up. Read the fine print. I've got a rewards account. You'll get $40 in Bitcoin, as will I. So you know exactly what I'm going to get and what you're going to get. You do need to deposit $100 to get your $40 in Bitcoin. That's the overview how to get $2,340 just by signing up for accounts.